What you're looking at is a network diagram of Antifa. The radical left will tell you that Antifa, also pronounced Antifa, refers to anyone who is anti-fascist. However, what investigations undertaken by myself and others reveal is a sophisticated, intentional, choreographed operation with a robust chain of command and a mission to unleash chaos. Antifa uses counterinsurgency formations, has a dress code or uniform, and engages in hacking and other cyber warfare activities. This is not a group of kids who want to protect their communities and fight fascism. This is perhaps the greatest terrorist threat America has ever faced. I have done extensive research on Antifa's lines of operation, marshaled existing investigative info, and carried out a threat assessment adapted from military techniques. Now, I'm going to show you how Antifa is organized, as well as footage from my undercover investigation inside Antifa. Antifa is active all over the US. Their known chapters are shown here, though there may be others. They're organized into 5 geographic divisions. Authority comes from the Washington, D.C. branch, codenamed Jericho. It appoints a head chapter in each division. Chapters elect counselors, who in turn elect a high counselor in Washington, D.C. Counselors are usually elevated from internship programs or administrative roles at the head chapter. The counselor of the Denver chapter is actually a border collie mix named Laika, which lets you know they do have fun with it. But it won't be so fun when businesses, Confederate statues, and ultimately our American freedoms become puppy chow. I investigated a working group under the Denver chapter at a meeting place called the Art House. I showed up early to scout. So this is the building they call the Art House. This is where we're meeting tomorrow. I'm gonna just take a quick look around the perimeter. The apparently decommissioned Masonic Temple. Nothing suspicious about that. A lot of parking available, no handicap parking. It's harder to become an official member than a recruit or paid rioter. You must be invited. At your first meeting, you're filmed having hot wax poured on your groin before dancing and singing a humiliating song. This ritual not only filters out the free-thinking and uncommitted, but serves as blackmail to threaten infiltrators like me. My song? I'm a little teapot. But after the intel I got on them, if they tip me over, they might not like what pours out. Being undercover wasn't easy. I had to convincingly act like part of the group. I got a septum piercing and I pretended to be an extremist, hoping for mass election fraud and praising Joe Biden. I couldn't let it slip that I'm really more center-left. As a white person, I was inherently suspicious, but by suggesting they create a list of white-owned businesses, and by telling them I identify as tree gender, I earned their trust. That may sound hilarious to you and me, but you really can't oversell this performance. These lunatics are beyond parody. Let's look at Antifa's funding sources. Cash App, Venmo, even the Department of Treasury allows for the circulation of their funds. Financial support flows from secret donors and Act Blue. These funds are put toward armor, like gas masks and improvised shields, for example made out of umbrellas. They're put toward weapons, like fireworks, wooden planks, and mortars. And they're possibly put toward recruitment. I acquired this screenshot showing money moving over Venmo for an inter-chapter event. Antifa is further sustained by its allies and benefactors. The most prominent is Black Lives Matter, itself far more centralized than civilians realize. In fact, the organizations are so intertwined, anyone who uses the call to arms Black Lives Matter is essentially outing themselves as a terrorist or terrorist accomplice. Another confirmed connection is the Portland Bail Fund. Another reporter commandeered this digital material regarding reinforcements for arrestees. For those who don't know, feds and pigs refers to officers of the law. Antifa has allies in unsuspected places. In this call, I try to get through to a government office which may be compromised. Hi, I was wondering if Louie Gohmert takes a position on Antifa.
In what capacity, sir?
We have some evidence that there are some members of the Democrat Party with ties to Antifa infiltrating Republican offices. And there's reason to believe that there may be one in Louie Gohmert's office. And what I need you to understand is this may be someone you trust. This may be someone you even love.
Okay, well, I appreciate you bringing this to our attention, sir. What leads you to believe that?
I am not at liberty at this time to disclose my sources, but it would be helpful to our efforts if you would tell me, have you seen any suspicious activity among your colleagues?
Not off the top of my head, sir, but I don't run the office. I'm not privy to everything. Just in my day-to-day interactions, I haven't seen anything out of the ordinary.
We'll consider this a warning. Vigilance.
All right, well, thank you very much, sir. I will let the congressman know.
Thank you. Inside the art house, I learned valuable logistical information, but most damningly, I was able to discreetly film combat training.
Squeeze. We just kind of want to, in the space, reframe the idea of self-defense as
what you're seeing is a rehearsal of an Antifa tactic euphemistically called self-defense. Antifa soldiers incite a riot, and then instigate any officer or lawfully carrying patriot who intervenes. They then use that as an excuse to escalate combat, for example, getting out of a chokehold. Violence to Antifa is as essential as liberty is to a normal American. While data shows the right wing is responsible for a terrorism sum proportion index of 0.93 in 2020 up until June, surveys at Riot Zone suggest that the left is about 112 times more violent than the right. So if you've done the math, you'll notice that's a sum proportion index of 10,416%. Their Telegram comms are impressive. Inter and intra-chapter comms occur via messengers, apps, and telecommunication. They have meetings scheduled by the lunar calendar, at which plans for urban areas to target are passed down the chain of command, and signals are decided upon. Afterwards, encrypted messages are sent by alternating methods. Since COVID started, the chapter I infiltrated has received messages by virtually visiting islands in the Nintendo game Animal Crossing. Do you find that cute? The revolutionaries in my meeting sure did, but after what I heard they were planning, I found it downright horrifying. You can choose to believe me or not. I don't even know if the information is accurate. I'm just reporting what I heard. The DC chapter is preparing for a nationwide rebellion, targeting major metropolitan areas on election night. It will appear organic as either a reaction to Donald Trump's re-election or a celebration of Biden's election. Rioters and looters will be bussed to different cities depending on how the night goes. I would have recorded the audio, even at risk of my own life. But at this point, they were playing a Britney Spears Greatest Hits playlist, the reproduction of which over video would be an intellectual property crime. It's unclear whether this was a deliberate counter-recon tactic, but either way, I had to stop filming at the most disturbing moment of the night. This is as much as I can disclose as of this point. Study the network diagram to stay informed and vigilant. The coming storm may be unstoppable, but stop it, we must.